The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio. Coming up on the program today, fall will soon be here, so what do you do with all those leaves and why are they beneficial? We'll go over that, as well as preserving your harvest, properly storing it. And our guest is Mary Kate Mackey, author and speaker, plus your garden questions. The hour is full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Welcome to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy that you've taken time out of your day to allow us to be part of it. I am your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Whether you're listening to us on one of the 20 AM or FM frequencies broadcasting our program here in 2023, through our radio app, through our parent website underneath the Season 7 tab at the top of the page. That website is the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. That's our parent website. In-studio video replay, downloading the program on podcast. Thank you very much. If you want to be part of the program, send an email on over to us at gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com, or you can give us a call anytime, 24/7, 365, toll-free, coast-to-coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. If we can't get to you, we'll leave us a message and we will call you back. We're going to get in the first topic, Holly, and that is leaves. They haven't changed yet, but we're about 2 months away in some portions of the country. And some people, or many people in municipalities, just across the board, find leaves to be a nuisance.
Yeah, I think people get annoyed with them because they have to clean them up, or they feel like they have to clean them up, or somebody tells them they have to clean them up and get rid of them somehow. But we love leaves. And
are leaves your friend?
Leaves are my friend.
Okay.
All the time. When they're budding on the tree, when they're shading the tree, when they're falling from the tree.
For those who have followed along, do you have a leaf story?
Not really.
Oh, no. Okay.
No. I mean, I lived on a corner house growing up, so we probably had double the leaves.
Right.
Not compared to maybe you, who had a lot of leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do leaves provide?
They provide a lot of things. So before they decompose, so say you rake up your leaves, which you should do, and then you want to put them in your garden, there's many benefits.
Right. I find it humorous, these people whom are very meticulous and rake up the leaves as the tree still has 90% leaf coverage on it and they begin to fall. They get 200 leaves in the yard, so they got to wake them up. And the next morning, there's just as many leaves in the yard as there was the night before when they cleaned it up. Or they clean all the leaves up, and they get one of them big windstorms, and all the neighbors' leaves blow into that person's yard that they've just already meticulously cleaned up.
Yeah, there's usually like a circle funnel of leaves that are swirling around their yard. Yeah, or they'll be raking their leaves as the leaves are falling off the tree. But anyway, so leaves, before they decompose, so once you start having leaves fall, if you want to clean them up and put them over your garden, they will help keep the moisture in.
And leaves, based on the size and or how you bring them in, determines how long it takes for them to break down. Right. Whether you mulch them or bring them in as whole and dump them in the garden, that determines the rapid decomposing time frame.
Right. So some of these are, common for all mulch, but for leaves, they do help keep that moisture in, and then they insulate the roots of the plant. So if your leaves start to fall and you still have maybe some fall vegetables growing, it's going to insulate the plant roots so that your fall vegetables might grow further into the fall.
You can also take and mound them over root crops, turnips, rutabagas, carrots. I'm talking like 3 or 4 feet of leaves, and that creates a refrigerated state for those crops and Jerusalem artichokes. So you can move the leaves back even when the soil should be frozen solid. That soil is still chilled, but you can extract those vegetables, and it's an outdoor refrigerator.
Yep. And then they prevent soil erosion. Soil erosion is just basically like soil wash off, soil, what's another word for erosion? Like crumbling of the soil.
Well, you look at, we've seen it in our videos, and the soil that has been covered all winter long by leaves versus the bed that has nothing on it, the soil looks dead and dried out and stressed, I guess, if that's a word to describe soil. It looks very exhausted. You remove the leaves from the soil in which it was covered, it's very vibrant. You see insects and worms and bugs crawling around.
Right. So yeah, they prevent the soil erosion, and then as they break down, they provide nutritional soil enriching, natural fertilizer, just all sort of a good soil fertilizer.
Well, first here, Holly, how can one, they hear stories about, I've got leaves in the spring and I'm using them to mulch. How can one preserve the integrity of leaves so they can utilize them in the spring for mulching in their spring garden?
You can put them in plastic bags. That's one way. Or
paper bags, environmentally friendly?
It doesn't matter at this point.
Okay, at this point, okay.
It's kind of scientifically true. It doesn't really matter at this point, but that's okay.
But you stack them up. You store them outdoors behind a shed or a barn.
You could also, if you're like, I don't want to store these leaves, I don't have space, you could stack them very, very high in your garden and put a tarp over them.
Like pile them up, mound them. Mm-hmm. Well, we've done it without having a tarp on them, just in a pile, and they've compressed 50,
right, but I'm saying
70%.
that if it was like a lot.
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
Like the size of a car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically like a big pile.
Okay.
And then you would want to leave that pile there for a few days, and then eventually it'll kind of just go down. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times that will create leaf mold, which is beneficial as well. So
what does leaves contain nutrient-wise here that can help the integrity of our soil?
Mostly carbon. So it's about...
Because it's a brown.
Yeah, it's about 50%. They're about 50% carbon. There is other things. So carbon is the brown. And then there's nitrogen. It's about equal parts nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus that are in the leaves.
Now we're talking like less than a percent or less.
It's not a ton. No.
This is not a bag of 20-20-20 fertilizer
right,
here.
It's mostly carbon. So keep that in mind. And people might think, okay, well, that's going to deplete my garden of nitrogen, and that's not true because it balances out.
Well, also, you put the leaves on the garden in the fall, and it creates a habitat for worms and insects and creepy crawly things that do break down the structure of the leaf and take that underneath the soil, and the microbial eat away at it, and the moisture of the rain, the snow, and everything. So it's breaking down into a natural state like a forest floor, and it will neutrophil your soil in a slow magnitude. Because in the forest, it's not a rapid decay. You always have leaves on the ground no matter what.
Right. And that's the thing about leaves is they're continually breaking down and doing their thing. So yeah, so you got carbon, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and then additionally you have calcium, magnesium, and calcium can be up to 3%. So that's kind of one of the higher ones, aside from carbon. And then also you have magnesium and sulfur. Those two are very low, but they are notable.
Less than 0.25%.
Yeah.
Now, there are certain leaves that contain more, and this is just an average of what leaves would contain on the scale of nutrients for the integrity of the leaf.
Right. So that's just a part of it. Now, one thing I wanted to note is that when you pile the leaves in your garden, it's not just beneficial for your garden, your soil, your plants, whatever. It's also beneficial for animals, insects, microbes, and more, because it's food, it's a habitat to sustain them during those long winter months. So that's another good thing about leaves too.
Well, you pile them, and we have raised beds, and we have been known to pile 3 to 3.5 foot tall arches of domes of leaves in our beds, and they will dissipate about 50 to 60% by next spring. And then if we do this in October, by June, you would walk in the garden and not even realize we had that quantity of leaves because they have all broke down into the soil in the beds. We didn't remove them. We didn't burn them. They have broken down naturally and incorporated into a organic matter into the soil. Yes, it's a lot of work, but anything is a lot of work if you want to be successful at it.
Right. And that's something to keep in mind. Yeah. So there's a lot of use for leaves.
Right.
And there's a lot of benefits for using leaves. I really wouldn't say that there's many cons aside from having to rake them up and put them somewhere and pile them up.
Right.
But it's just, I don't know. I think that it's often an underutilized resource. And if you see your neighbors raking their leaves into the gutter and you only have maybe one tree, you can take those leaves. Nobody's going to stop you.
Right. And, whether you mulch them or bring them in whole, the larger the leaf, the longer it's going to take to break down. But also, if you utilize that leaf in the spring, you've bagged them up, that size can prevent moisture from getting under the leaf because it's creating a repellent. It's like a tarp over the soil. So if you're trying to some other weeds out, use the larger stuff in the non-growing areas between the plants and use the smaller stuff around the plants so the permeation of water can get to the root system. And there are a few trees that that the experts say you may not want to use, but for most of us who have trees in our property or on our property, there's no wrong leaf to use. When it comes to no wrong place to shop, there's a lot of wrong places to shop. Walton's is the right place to shop for everything you need except for meat.
We are brought to you today by our sponsor, Walton's Inc. We know you care about where your food comes from, canning, preserving your fruits and vegetables, but what about the meat? At Walton's Inc., you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. Do you want to make snack sticks that people will actually like? Walton's created meatjuststicks.com, an informational site to help you make the best finished product. They even have a full line of their own meat grinders, mixers, and sausage stuffers to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's everything but the meat. You can use code GROW50 to save 10% off your orders of $50 or more.
When we come back, we're going to discuss preserving the correct way. You're tuned into the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com. Wind River Chimes creates a symphony in any space. Chimes that are inspired by nature and designed to make the natural world even more inspiring. Music speaks to everyone. Individually handcrafted in Virginia for over 35 years and hand-tuned for an exceptional precision and lasting beauty. Because in life, the winds of change are always moving. But no matter where they carry you, Wind River Chimes will always be the inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you will find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to shop and find out more.
Rootmaker starts your plants off right and keeps them going through harvest. From their seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots to their large variety of grow bags, 1 to 60 gallons. Their products will provide you the harvest you've never seen before. Visit rootmaker.com and use coupon code RADIO23 to save 15% off your order at rootmaker.com. Tree Hugger sprinklers are the ultimate watering device for either your newly planted or established trees and shrubs. Our sprinklers open and close around the trunk of your tree and provide 360 degrees of watering. With our adjustable valve, you can direct the water to your tree's targeted saturation zone. They come in 3 sizes, 7, 11, and 15 inches. You can purchase a Tree Hugger sprinkler at your local garden center, feed store, or hardware store. Go to treehuggersprinklers.com to find a retailer close to you. Or you can buy it directly from Amazon or treehuggersprinklers.com. If you're an independent nursery, garden center, hardware store, or feed store, you will want to stock this product. Contact the good people at Tree Hugger Sprinklers and they will get you set up. Your tree's best friend. treehuggersprinklers.com. Blue Ribbon Organics, providing locally made organic compost and soil blends for gardeners, farms, landscaping, and more. To find our products nearest you, visit blueribbonorganics.com.
Fleet Farm has everything you need to get ready for the canning season. Pick up all your supplies from start to finish as you begin to harvest your garden. Choose from an assortment of jars, strainers, racks, and funnels. Plus, check out the wide selection of mixes, sugar, vinegar, and more. Get what you need for your everyday life, including canning, at new, lower prices. Fleet Farm and fleetfarm.com.
The Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Happy Leaf LED, Root Maker, Jung Seeds, Tree Hugger Sprinklers, Verlo Mattresses, Farmer's Defense, Pomona Universal Pectin, Natural Green Products, Mantis Tillers. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your day. Moments away, harvesting, preserving the harvest, storing the harvest. But first, Farmer's Defense has unique tools and apparel to help that harvest more safely for you.
Farm and garden in the ultimate comfort. Farmer's Defense has lightweight and durable sleeves made to protect you against the elements while farming. Farmer's sleeves offer unparalleled protection of arms and skins for any farmer in the garden or outdoor worker. Say goodbye to irritated skin and sunburns in the garden. Their sleeves offer cooling comfort and protection against the elements outdoors. An alternative to thick clothing, Farmer's Defense is made of wicking material with UBF protection factor 50 plus to protect you from allergens and scratches. To find out all their great products and more, visit farmersdefense.com.
Great tools. The apparel, the sleeves work great. They don't snag, they don't tear, and they protect your arms as well as their hats. Keeps the sun from baking your brain.
Right. So we're going to talk about here
storing
the
your
harvest.
Now,
Yep.
this can be canning, dehydrating, freezer, refrigerator, storage, dry storage. Like like pumpkins and squash. Nobody. I think very few people have root cellars.
No, but you could kind of mimic
Right.
the root cellar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In a way, kind of.
So let's start with canning.
So canning. Yep. So canning. Just saying here, reminding everybody that first of all, that canning is a science. So you want to follow a trusted recipe, no matter what you're doing, whether it be water bath canning or pressure canning. Or you want to follow for pressure canning. You want to make sure you follow the manufacturer's instructions. And then also I want to note that a lot of these, you want to use vinegar that's at 5% acidity.
Yeah, this is the big thing that's happened in the last week that we've been notified of through multiple social media platforms.
Yeah. So a lot of these like store brand, like there's the name brand white vinegar, and then there's like the store brand. For whatever reason, a lot of the store brand ones are now only at 4% acidity. So you have to buy most likely the name brand.
Okay, for people who are like, okay, vinegar is vinegar, 4 or 5%. What's the difference? What's the big deal?
You just need the 5% for the canning.
Because the acidity is what is preserving or making it safe to set in that jar for your pickles or your whatever you're canning.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So another reason to read the label, and if it don't skimp because it's $1 cheaper for the stuff that's 4% because that doesn't pay for the funeral cost.
Right. So,
and I'm not making joke, because if you do this incorrectly, it can result in worst case scenario fatalities.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't be silly. So, so canning, water bath canning or pressure canning. Water bath canning is for high acid or high sugar foods, or foods that you're adding acid or sugar to. So that can be things like pickled items, jams, jellies, chutneys,
this is for
salsas.
This is for water bath. You said pressure canning.
Oh, yeah, water bath. So
water bath is for
So it's for low acid foods that you're adding acid or sugar to, or high acid foods.
Okay.
So, for example, again, salsas, sauces that you're adding like a vinegar or lemon juice to.
Canned tomatoes.
Pickled stuff, jams, jellies, chutneys, things like that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so then the pressure canning is for the low acid foods that you're pressure canning, so things like vegetables, just as is, carrots,
green beans, pumpkins, squash. And that's the thing. Another thing was green beans. Oh, I water bath green beans. If you water bath green beans, and it's not, I don't even know if there's people say you got to go like 3 hours. It's not even recommended. The Ball and the National Center for Home Food Preservation said no. We don't even talk about water bath and green beans anymore. Pressure can only. Or what we choose to do is blanch and freeze them.
Right. Yep. So there's some options there for canning. There's certain things you just don't want to can because it's unsafe, like anything with a high fat content, like certain meats. And then anything with the addition of butter. Pumpkin butter.
You wouldn't want to do cauliflower or broccoli because it just turns into baby food.
Yeah, a lot of stuff will turn into mush. Even something like watermelon. I don't know why you would can watermelon. But anyway, yeah. See, there's a lot of do's and don'ts. And then, so then we can move on to freezing.
Well, first, if you're not sure about canning, what you're doing, reach out to your local extension office, talk to a master canner, or you can send us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com, and we will connect you with the proper people in order for you to do it safe and do it right.
Proper people. Yeah. So, that's correct. All right. So then we move on to freezing here. You can freeze a lot of fruits and vegetables. You can find a lot of tips online. For example, if you're going to freeze something like berries, you can just freeze them as is in a bag. Or you can freeze them on like a cookie sheet, nice and flat. And then once they're each I think people call it flash freezing.
Flash freezing, correct, yep.
Once they're each flash frozen, then you can put them in a bag. So that's an option, and that kind of preserves their shape a little bit better than just...
But also keep in mind, anything you freeze, you put a full whatever in the freezer and you pull it out to defrost it, it will lose some structural integrity. It's not going to be like you just pulled it off the vine. Oh, look at that. It will...
But you could break it up easy.
Yes.
So if you just want half the bag of blueberries.
Right. But don't think you're going to put a strawberry in the fridge and then pull it out and defrost and it's going to look just like it came off the vine.
No.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So freezing. And then some things you're going to do what's called blanching or parboiling. I think it just depends on what part of the country you're in and what you call it.
The term you mean.
Yeah. Okay. So you're basically just going to cook whatever vegetable it is for about a minute, and then you put it into an ice bath to stop the cooking, and that helps preserve the shape and the integrity of that vegetable.
Do we vacuum seal? Do we just use a freezer bag? What is there a right or wrong? Obviously, if you remove most of the air, the lifespan is a little bit better than if you just wrap it up and, I got most of the air out and throw it in the freezer.
I mean, vacuum sealing obviously is going to air is what the problem is, right, and causes rot. So vacuum sealing is going to help. As far as using freezer bags, you definitely want to use a freezer bag versus just a regular food storage bag, and you want to make sure you date the items so you know. Otherwise, you're like, is this from this year?
Well, not only just date, but write, 7/14/2023 strawberries. Because sometimes if the thing gets pushed in the back of the fridge, you don't know what that was.
This is true. I had that happen with lentil soup that I thought was chili. And it was
also, people will say, well, I don't need a vacuum sealer. I put a straw on the side of the bag and I suck the air out.
You can do that.
You only get 30%. You still have 70%. Studies have shown that when you do that, you only get 30% of the air actually out of the entire bag. Even though
it's better than just trying to push the air out.
True, I know, but I'm just giving you hard facts.
I don't want your hard facts.
All right.
Maybe somebody else does. You can write in.
Okay.
Should I tell you a story about hard facts?
No,
I don't really have one.
You don't have one, no. Dehydrating.
Yeah, dehydrating's fun. If you have a dehydrator, it's
there's no limits on this.
There's really no limits. You can dehydrate, and a lot of people are now doing this because they're making their own outdoorsy meals by dehydrating, and then they just reconstitute it.
People dehydrate watermelon, lemons, leeks, pineapple, fill in the blank, lettuce. It really doesn't matter. You can dehydrate really much anything, and when you rehydrate it, it will most times be palatable. So, if you in good quality, here's the thing: if you're going to look at dehydrating, look at a dehydrator that has a fan that forces the air through. Don't get these dehydrators that have a coil at the bottom, and then it's designed that the heat will rise up and dehydrate and dry. You want a fan that circulates the air. That is the key. You're going to pay a little bit more, but it's going to evenly distribute the heat in order to properly dehydrate. And if you're dehydrating anything, have everything in uniform shapes, everything either a certain thickness or a certain cube size, so you don't have a quarter drying faster than the other. You've got thin and you got thick, and then everything, one's too dry and one's not dry enough. Right.
And with dehydration, it's something that is kind of, I think, an investment, because it's something that you essentially want to do year after year. So if you're not sure, maybe you can find a secondhand dehydrator somewhere and then
yard
make a decision. Yeah, yard sales, thrift stores, things like that, and even on the marketplace. So you can make a decision that way.
Before we get to just put it in the fridge, if you're going to dehydrate, there are certain things that you want to dehydrate outside of your residence. Garlic, onions, leeks. It will impermeate.
Unless you have some house guests you're trying to get rid of.
Yeah. That was rough. Them dehydrating onions. We moved it to the attic. And
I remember
so
that.
keep that in mind, that not all things are a pleasant aroma coming out of the dehydrator.
Yeah. So let's talk about the root cellar concept. I think you kind of know more about this than I do.
Well, a root cellar is a unit that is beneath the soil level in old time homes. That's where that's where all the canned goods and the pumpkins and the squash and all these things were kept, because it was like a refrigerated, say basically kind of like a basement, unclimatized basement, because the coolness of the earth kept these things in check and kept it refrigerated, kept it at a constant temperature regardless of what outdoor temperature was. That is not so much the case anymore. Now you can create a mock root cellar by digging a hole and burying certain things outside your residence, according to, if you can do that. But that has gone away, but that's the concept. It's below ground level, and the earth preserves that produce for a much longer time than if it was above ground.
Yes. So that's the root cellar concept. It makes sense.
Put it in the fridge.
Yeah, for sure. And so then there's also just putting in the fridge, where maybe you have some like root vegetables and they will last a little bit longer in the fridge because they are a little bit hardier, and just because they are like more of a winter vegetable. So what you want to do in that case is you want to leave the dirt on them to kind of act as like a shield.
A protective layer.
Protective layer. Yeah. And then
I'm thinking of carrots and parsnips and turnips and rutabagas.
Yeah. All those things. Radishes.
Now they will dry out. Cabbage as well. But it will have a little longer shelf life. Items like winter squash, pumpkins, spaghetti squash, acorn squash, fill in the blank. You want to cure that ambiently, and then you can store that in an unclimatized area under the bed, in a closet, at the bottom of a shelf farthest away from a heat source, and they will keep 4, 5, 6 months in a really good situation. So, some ideal for storing your harvest: canning, freezing, dehydrating, root cellar if you got that, or just put it in the fridge, or put it in a ambient area away from heat, out of direct sunlight, and you can prolong your harvest and utilize it. Well, if you want to control beetles and grub invaders without affecting the rest of your ecosystem in your yard, then Grub Gone and Beetle Gone is the solution.
Yeah, Phylums Grub Gone and Beetle Gone target a wide range of invasive and destructive beetles, weevils, and borers without harming non-targets such as bees, ladybugs, earthworms, butterflies, or other beneficial insects. You can purchase these products locally in Massachusetts at Ward's Nursery, McHugh Garden Center, and Hyannis County Country Garden, in Connecticut at Van Wilgen's Garden Center, in Maine at Salisbury Organics, and in New York at Fadigan's Nursery, and Ohio at Berlin Seeds. You can find them online at phyllumbioproducts.com. Phylum Bioproducts target the pest, not the rest.
When we come back, Mary Kate Mackey will be with us. Author, you're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
dig planting holes from a comfortable standing position. Step, twist, pull, and plant. Visit ProPlugger.com. Mantis tillers, the premium long-lasting gas-powered tillers, are the perfect solution for any garden. This Mantis machine is available with 2 or 4 cycle engines with a 19-inch or 16-inch tilling width. Your DIY companion in your garden and your lawn converts easily for edging, aerating, and more with optional attachments. Find details at Mantis.com. Goodbye biting bugs and plant invaders. No More Bugs by Naturally Green Products is your answer. A product pioneered by the USDA in 14 years in business, No More Bugs has been a favorite by consumers across the country. More than a repellent, it is safe for you, your plants, pets, and home. Visit nomorebugs.net. Free shipping on orders over $50. Use code FREESHIP4ME.
Chapin has the tools for planting your garden and keeping it growing all season long. Whether your garden is big or small, Chapin has sprayers and spreaders for fertilizing, weed, and pest control, watering, and seeding. You can find Chapin products at your local hardware store, big box retailer. You may visit them also online at chapinmfg.com to learn more and buy online.
Make watering easy. DripWorks provides quality drip irrigation supplies and equipment to gardeners just like you for all your growing needs across the U.S. and Canada. Purchase online at dripworks.com.
Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 10TG23 to receive 10% off your order at jungseeds.com. Again, that coupon code is 10TG23.
Overwatering is the top reason why houseplants are dying. Tree Diaper solves this problem by absorbing excess water up from the soil. It will store water and use it when the soil dries. Use Garden 15 to save 15% at treediaper.com.
The Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Chapin Manufacturing Incorporated, Aqua-Mart, Soil Savvy, Wind River Chimes, Wisconsin Greenhouse Company, Pro Plugger, Deer Defeat, Dripping Springs Oyas, Phylum Bioproducts. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support.
Grip 6 produces American-made products with sleek designs and quality materials. Based and manufactured in Utah, they have high-quality and durable products that last a lifetime. They're built beyond tough. Their wool socks come from Rocky Mountain source materials, are soft and comfortable, keep your feet warm and dry, and come with a lifetime guarantee. Even for the most sensitive toes, these socks are made for everyone. High-quality wool socks make a huge difference for happy feet. They fit in with all the many things you do from around the house to the outdoors and beyond. They are comfortable and long-lasting. These socks are great for gardening because they keep your feet so comfortable no matter the conditions outside. It's hard to overstate how amazing these feel to have warm, dry feet as you work in your garden. Designed and manufactured in-house for the best results and quality every time. When you purchase from Grip 6, you're supporting long life cycle products and American-made manufacturing. Check out their belts, wallets, and socks at grip6.com. Use coupon code RADIO15 to save 15% off your order at grip6.com.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Mary Kate Mackey, moments away, but first, Rise Gardens, a product that you can utilize inside your own home.
Rise Gardens is a revolutionary hydroponic gardening system for your home. Instead of food traveling hundreds or even over 1,000 miles before it hits your plate, harvest the veggies, herbs, and gardens you need for dinner tonight in the comfort of your home. No green thumb required knowledge. Gardening made easy with the Rise Gardens app. Step-by-step guidance from seed to harvest. A complete garden on a shelf, and it comes with everything you need to grow healthy and the freshest food for you and your loved ones. Fully customize your garden to your needs and preferences. For more information, get your Rise Garden. Visit risegardens.com.
Let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Mary Kate Mackey is an author, writer, speaker, and gardener. She's an award-winning writer and the recipient of 10 Garden Communications International Media Awards. For over 20 years, her byline has appeared in numerous magazines. Welcome to the program, Mary Kate.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we thank you for taking time out of your day, not only about to educate Holly and myself, but all of our listeners. And I'll start with this question. What was a recent garden mistake you made, and what did you learn from it?
Since all gardeners make mistakes, my most recent mistake was that I cooked some gladioli bulbs by accident. I was using them as upright accents in established containers, and it's great because you can just tuck them right in. Mm-hmm. And I planted about half of them, and then I left the others in a bucket on my south-facing deck, and I fried them. But would you like to hear about the worst mistake I've ever made?
I think we all would.
Yes.
Oh, okay. My worst mistake in 30 years of gardening on the same property was not spacing the trees, the little tiny baby trees I planted back then. I put them too close together. They were so little and that I had a failure of imagination on how big they would get. And now I'm going to have to remove one in order for the others to be there. Oh, it's a mess.
That was my next question. How did you fix that?
Well, I learned a trick. I haven't fixed the trees yet, but I did learn a trick, which is that I can keep certain measurements in my mind. For instance, I know my hand span is 8 inches, and an awful lot of plants get planted 8 to 12 inches apart. So I can use my hand to say, okay, all right. And my trowel is a foot long, and my arm span is the same as my height. So that's 5 feet 6 inches if I hold my arms straight out. So if I have a shrub that's like 4 foot width eventually, and it's just tiny now, I can stand in the bed where I'm going to plant the shrub, and I hold my arms out and turn around and try to see how many other plants my new plant is going to hit when it's fully grown. That's my tip.
And you know, when people say, well, I tell people, you know, lettuce, spinach, not that big of a deal. But when you're planting trees, you got a one-shot deal at this, and you got to know what you've got to do your research on the tree thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, you know, we have these varied weather patterns. They're getting worse and worse each year. How do you conserve water and efficiently water your garden in the best way?
Okay, well, I live with a well. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and it's a very deep well, and I can't draw it down for fear that the walls will collapse. It's like 500 feet deep.
Okay.
So I have to be incredibly water conservative. I use drip tubing with those built-in emitters, those little snaky tubes.
Right.
I use that in all my containers and all the beds close to the house, because that way I can keep an eye on it, like if squirrels are biting it, or I cut it with my spade. I mean, I know I've done it. And then further away from the house, I go ahead and I have low-flow sprinklers. But any of my sprinklers, I use water measuring cups. Any straight-sided can works well, like cat food cans are great. But I put them down and I check how much water is actually getting delivered in that bed. And the classic advice, of course, is 1 inch a week if there isn't any rain. But I can get away with half an inch. If the beds are heavily mulched, they're right there. I can get away with half an inch a week unless it's very, very hot. But here's something that I do. I haven't ever seen anybody do this. I use a combination of drip with the sprinklers. Now, I've heard people say, oh, you can't do that. You'll blow out the drippers. Nope. What I do is I hook in one of those half-inch drip hoses, the black hoses, and then I hook it right into the sprinkler pipe. So when the water's running for the sprinklers, it runs through the drippers. And then I put it down in places where the sprinklers don't hit too well, like right on the edge of a bed, or sometimes right under the stand of the sprinkler. It's like a desert under there. And so then that's where the little drippers go. And so I use both together. And then I do have a timer box that allows me to water different sections of the garden each day. And that's kind of how I have to go about it.
Well, even if you had unlimited amount of water, it doesn't make sense for anybody just to overwater what doesn't need to be overwatered either.
Right. And the plants won't thank you for it.
Right.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So your latest book, The Healthy Garden, Simple Steps for a Greener World, what can our listeners to expect, and maybe something notable to pique their interest when they pick up a copy?
Oh, okay. The Healthy Garden, it connects the good practices that you do in your own garden with what's happening in the greater natural world. It puts them together. So it goes beyond your back fence. Now, well, for instance, in the book, we talk about how to choose plants for your own success by looking at what grows well around you. Like, look in your neighbor's garden and look in parklands and look in botanic gardens and in the wilderness areas. And the other thing about this book is it's not just the opinions, just my opinions or my co-author Kathleen Brenzel's opinions. Well, what we've done is we've featured 20 other garden experts who offer their good advice for a variety of subjects, folks like Melinda Myers and Joe Lampel and Bree Arthur and Tony Gattoni. And on top of that, the pictures in this book are from 30 of the finest garden photographers I know about. And so it's a book that's practical and it's inspirational. And it's published by Abrams Books in New York. And they are known for both quality and beauty. So that's the book.
And all the gardeners that you mentioned, we've had on the program. So I feel very honored that we have interviewed those high quality gardeners that you felt was adequate to have in your book.
Well, yeah, that's great. I mean, that really is wonderful.
Well, let's talk about ground cover. What are some of your favorites? And for people who are like, whatever, what are the reasons to use ground cover?
Oh, that's a good question. My take is that nature never has bare soil. So the easiest and the most efficient thing to do in a garden is to emulate nature. And a couple of inches of mulch works well. Wood chips seem to be the mulch of choice at the moment. But even better for me is a living mulch, and that's ground covers. And the trick is to find plants that do three things as to be a ground cover that's good for you. One is grows under a foot tall. And two would be that it tolerates both sun and some shade, because even in a sunny bed, later on the bigger plants are going to grow up and cast shade. So it's got to be able to tolerate a bit of both. And three, it's a certain Goldilocks quality. It's a ground cover that's not too aggressive, but it's not too wimpy, or it won't block the weeds. So my favorites are, for shade, I like variegated saxifrage London Pride. I just love that plant. You got to look it up. It's really great. And for sunnier spots, I like Ernie Aria, which looks a little like a hardier baby tears. It's very fine. But the other one that's really easy is Creeping Thyme, because it just makes these mats and the weeds cannot get through. So, but that's for me. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and where you are can be very different. So maybe it's some of the low-growing grasses or the prairie plants. They might be perfect, but my advice is audition your ground covers. You buy a few of several different kinds that catch your eye, and you try them out. And it so much depends on your condition. So if they're too aggressive, you pull them out immediately and you don't have them all over your garden, taking over everything. But if they're too wimpy, you won't have busted the bank to have them. So definitely audition. I think that's the best thing. But the great thing about using living mulches is that you're not a weeder anymore. You're more like a referee. You're pulling back some ground covers in one place and you're encouraging it in another. And in the end, the real reason for all of this is that you've created a plant community. And that's where they're all working together to support each other. And the real bonus there is you work a lot less.
Fantastic. So you see garden hacks are all over the place now, online, the little short videos and stuff.
Some aren't true.
Some aren't true, but
yeah.
Some are, also too good to be true. Do you have a favorite realistic garden hack to share?
Well, okay, I thought about this, and I think my hack is not a shortcut, but it's seriously important advice, which is never trust the plant tag.
Okay.
That comes with your plant, because they're tiny and they can't cram everything you need to know into a tiny piece of plastic, and they don't say enough. I mean, for instance, tree tags are often, they'll state the height and the width at the end of 10 years. Mm-hmm. When the tree may actually, it can say, 15 feet tall in 10 years. Well, that's great, but that tree might be eventually 50 feet tall. And so I asked somebody in the business, why do the tags do that? And she said, well, people move every 7 to 10 years, so that's all they need. Oh, so you've given a problem to someone else in the future. Not my idea of a healthy garden. So my hack really is, actually makes for a longer, not shorter, but back up the plant tag info with some reliable source, like the Missouri Botanic Gardens website. I love that one. I go to it all the time. And that will help you find out so that you can have success with any plant that you put in the ground.
Right. And just with anything in life, you got to do your research. You can't rely on somebody else to make the decision for you.
That's right. And it has to be researched from some place that has a good reputation, knowledgeable stuff, not just somebody's great, hey, I'm in my backyard.
And go to your local independent garden center. Those people typically care a whole lot more than the big box store.
Absolutely. And many of them are trained.
Yes.
So they're not only trained to give you good information, but they're trained to keep the plants in good shape for you.
And a good independent store or good independent garden center will prevent you from buying something because you want it, even though they know it's going to fail. They'll keep you from doing that.
Yes, they will. And they'll say, well, if you want a blue-flowered plant, why don't you try these salvias over here? Because you've got blistering sun next to that sidewalk, and this may do well for you.
Absolutely. Well, Mary Kate, we greatly appreciate the time you've offered and the knowledge you've shared with us. How can people find out more about you and get a hold of your book?
Well, the book is available anywhere books are sold. Independent bookstores. You can also get it online. And actually, Abrams often has the best price for my book. So if you go to the Abrams website, that's the publisher, and just put in The Healthy Garden, you can often pick up a very good deal on the book. So I would do that. And my website is my name, Mary Kate Mackey, all one word, .com. And if anybody listening has questions on this show, you can email me through my website. And if you put the show name in the header, I will get back to you, I promise.
Well, Mary Kate, we thank you for the time you've offered us and the education that you provided.
Oh, well, you are quite welcome. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And when we come back, it's Your Garden Questions, Our Garden Answers. You're tuned in, the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Aqua-Mart.com has everything you need for eye-pleasing outdoor water features on your property. For over 25 years, we've been creating and field testing beautiful water features in order to provide you with the most reliable products and best value in the industry. From easy-to-install pond and water-filled kits to pumps, fish food, and more, you'll find everything you need to install and maintain a naturally balanced water feature in your yard. Make your backyard a true oasis and maintain it well. Visit aqua-mart.com to shop for all your needs. Deer Defeat is an all-natural based animal repellent to keep deer and rabbits away from your valuable plants that is odorless after 30 minutes and dries clear. It creates a continuous, invisible shield to protect your plants. Works for 30 days through rain, snow, and freeze. Will not clog your sprayer. Apply to your property without environmental damage. You can spray directly onto your plants up to flowering, then apply around your plants to continue protection. No need to reapply. Money-back guarantee. To purchase, go to deerdefeat.com and use coupon code RADIO to save 10% off your order. You put a lot of time and energy in your garden, but without a rescue Japanese beetle trap, you can kiss that hard work goodbye. Asparagus, annihilated. Raspberries, ravished. Green beans, forget about it. Get those little invasive pests out of your garden and send them where they belong inside a rescue Japanese beetle trap. Now with available refill lures, rescue Japanese beetle traps can be used for multiple seasons. They're made in the USA by the makers of the popular Rescue, Fly, and Yellow Jacket traps. Learn more at rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com.
Hi, I'm Russell Taylor with Live Earth Products. I'm a soil health expert here to help you. Live Earth Products specializes in soil conditioners and fertilizers that will help you build healthy and vibrant flower and vegetable gardens. As our name describes, Live Earth means healthy soils. Live Earth products are humic and fulvic soil amendments and are all natural, organic, and directly from our family mine in Utah. Live Earth products are easy to apply, and the results will blossom right before your eyes. Live Earth products can be applied throughout the growing season. So pick up Live Earth Humate Soil Conditioner and Liquid 6 Humic Acid at your local garden center or on Amazon. Also available through our website, liveearth.com. That's LIVEARTH.com. Live Earth, here to bring vitality to life in your garden.
Listen, at Furlough Mattress, saving a lot on a comfortable mattress with a lifetime comfort guarantee is easy. Why? Well, because we make our mattresses right at the store. Yeah, we cut out the middleman, and voila, you got it. We pass the savings directly onto you every day. So hurry in today to your local Furlough, where there are no middleman markups. Wake up, sleep better, and save at Furlough.
Dripping Springs Oyas clay pot irrigation solves the watering needs for gardens, bushes, new trees, and more. An ancient irrigation system we brought to America. Dripping Springs Oyas, OLLAS, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Check us out.
The Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Dripworks, Rise Gardens, Grip 6, Bloomin' Easy, Fleet Farm, Waltons Incorporated, Blue Ribbon Organics, Tree Diaper. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Time for your garden questions, our garden answers. Send it on over to GardenTalkRadio@gmail.com. That's GardenTalkRadio@gmail.com. Or give us a call toll-free coast to coast at 1-800-927-SHOW, 1-800-927-7469. Holly, this question is brought to you by Fleet Farm and FleetFarm.com.
This is called, I have black bottoms on my tomato fruit. What is it? How can I fix it? Is it toxic? What's the deal?
It is blossom end rot or blossom rot. And if you have been on social media at all for the last 60 to 90 days, there is a concoction of every type of different formulation in which one should be able to fix blossom end rot. It's the simplest fix possible, and that is simply watering. That doesn't fix the fruit on the plant currently. What has occurred is the calcium in the soil, which we all have plenty of, is not able to transfer from soil to plant because the soil is too dry. Properly moisturizing the soil will allow the plant to uptake the available calcium you have up the stalk and into the plant and properly develop the fruit. If you don't have it, it's going to do this. So the fruit that is on the plant now that has the darkened, sunken in bottom, take them off, throw them in the compost. Don't allow the plant to utilize the energy in order to fulfill the fruit that's going to be rotten on the bottom. If you water properly, there's about 90-95% chance that this will resolve the problem with the next set of fruit that's going to develop. Fruit develops between 20 and 30 days based from flower to harvest. So just water, regular watering. Keep the soil moist like a sponge. And you will not have to worry about that. Don't add Tums or calcium or powdered milk or anything else, Epsom salt, none of that. Just water the plant regularly and this will fix the problem.
Yeah, so that's your hack, right?
That's not a hack. That's just the truth.
It's the science.
That's the science.
All right, so our next question is, I'm in zone 4B, Minnesota. I have hardy grape, blackberry, and blueberry bushes, all hardy in my zone. I want to dig them up and replant them into large containers. Can they be left out during winter? I've had them for 2 years, so they're still quite small. Okay, well, yes and no here. You can dig them up and put them in containers. With the blueberries, you want to make sure whatever soil they're growing in, that it's transferred over the container, which is a difficult thing because container, you don't want to put native soil in because it will get compacted, so you need to acidify a soil. Blueberries like a pH of about 6. You can do this. You can put them next to the house.
kind of allow the house to have a little warmth to keep them from, getting too cold over winter. You can also, in combination with that, wrap the base of them with burlap, or some people use bubble wrap, pack them with straw, bust the bale off, and just make them, cover them with straw, mulch them with straw to kind of, you're not going to keep the plants or the soil, the root ball, 47 degrees all winter long. What you're doing is trying to take the edge off that bite that the winter has. And these plants are hardy. If they're growing in the ground, my advice would be leave them in the ground if all possible and move them somewhere else to where they can be in the ground. But if you have to put them in containers, that is an option which you can do. You don't want to bring them inside a garage or a barn. You want to keep them next to a house, outdoors, mulch them with leaves and burlap or straw, and do that. That's what you're going to have to do.
Correct. So the other question is that I want to seed my lawn. When's the best time? I don't seem to know. It doesn't really say. So when's the best time? Okay, the best time to seed your lawn is September to October, or in early spring, March through May. You want to do it when the soil is moist and warm. Now you can't. I'm not going to tell you that. If you go buy seed at your local independent garden center and throw it in the yard and put the water to it, it's not going to grow. It will grow, but it's more adaptable in the cooler nights and slightly warmer days and moist in order for this to germinate. But you can try it now if you want to, get the seed now. If it, you see it on sale, buy the seed. But spring and fall is the best time to get it to germinate, get it to establish, and then it goes into dormancy in the fall, or in the spring it starts to do its thing. But that's the answer. I have some maple trees that are growing in the back of the garden. I just saw they're a little taller, and I would like to move them rather than just dig them up and get rid of them. What is the best time to transplant them, or is there a said best time? Yeah, so when it comes to transplanting, whether it be it would be these three trees. It would be pine, oak, maple when dormant. You just want to, just like pruning, you want to choose the best time of the year, and that would be spring or fall. So in fall, you would transplant before the first frost, and in spring you would relocate, transplant before the tree starts sprouting. So you would have to kind of figure out when the tree would sprout in the fall, and then in the spring. And then in the fall when you're and we're wanting to do this because trees are it takes a lot of energy for them to put leaves on. And by just digging them up July 7th and moving them to a different location, there's a tremendous amount of stress on that tree that now it's been uprooted. There's a certain planting shock that a plant has, and then it's got all the foliage in which it's going to try to support, which feeds the plant. It's the less impact or stress we can put on a plant by doing it in the proper time, even though it may be inconvenient for us, the better long-lasting effect the plant can have on us, whether it's the berry plants or a tree in the spring or the fall. All right. Let's see. I'll ask this one. Go ahead. So I found a squash vine borer larva in my zucchini stem. Good for you. I dug them out. I saw some eggs too, and I got rid of those. What is the right thing to do? I dug them out. The plant seems to be doing well. Is that okay? Was that the best thing? You did exactly what you're supposed to do. Excavate or remove the larvae from the stem, making a small incision in the stalk by not severing the stalk from the roots. You're going to have an open area, but that's where the larvae, the little worms that if left alone will kill your plant. You can do two things with that wound. You can leave it and it will callus a little bit and you'll be fine. Or some people will also take a handful or a shovelful of really good compost and just cover it so it's not exposed to the elements. So if you see, even before you see your zucchini plants begin to droop, your pumpkins, your watermelon, your squashes begin to droop, you want to check the base of your plant and see if there's been a insertion of larvae by seeing a dribble out or trickle down that looks like honey running or has dried coming out of the
stem at about 3 inches above ground level. If that is the case, then you can slightly cut a chunk out of the stalk, and you should be able to see white larvae, which is the squash vine borer that will devastate your plant if not removed. Need more details or visualization on that? Go to our parent website, which is the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and in the search bar, type in squash vine borer, and we've got a number of videos on how to properly extricate those larvae. We are out of time, and we thank you for yours. Miss any portion of the program today, you can go to that said website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and click on the Season 7 tab at the top of the page. Or you can send us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com, and we will send you a link to the program. Tune in to the program next week when we will be discussing the synthetic versus organic fertilizer, understanding them, and is there really one better than the other, as well as using tomatoes, what you can tomatoes, what different kind of recipes, as well as dishes that you can make fresh with them. Our guest, he is an author that focuses on native prairie plants and adapting them to your landscape for ease of maintenance and maximizing wildlife draw to your garden. Benjamin Voigt will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.